Yesterday, me and my lady were out and about, and a situation came up. We parked the vehicles at a location. It does parking, and it's widely used parking location down in the city, in New York City, to be exact. And so we go back to retrieve the car, and we're noticing that it's a lot of hoopla and noise and disturbances going on at the location where we're going to get the car from. So as we walk on the scene and see what's going on to get an understanding, there's a young man there who's also getting his car, and he notices upon getting his car, there are scratches on his bumper that wasn't there when he parked the car. So initially, I could see how his mind was moving. I could see he was thinking and going through some little bit of emotions and whatnot in that situation. And initially, he asked to see the manager. The manager did eventually come out to start to talk to him. At that point, though, the young man whose car was damaged had a choice. The choice was, I can deal with this in a situation, I can be respectful, get my point across, and come to a resolution with this young man. Another way he could have went was, he could have got immensely irritated, disrespectful, and obnoxious, and take it that direction. And unfortunately, that's what the young man decided to do. He decided that he's going to take it on a rah-rah, this is what you did, it's not going to happen. He started calling names, got really aggressive. The supervisor and manager that came out really wasn't being aggressive, just being like, listen, let's get to a resolution. The man whose truck was damaged was like, no, he didn't want it that way. He really went up to the point where he actually invited the supervisor and manager to a fight. And at that point in time, the manager starts getting aggressive in retaliation to what was going on. Look, he was trying to reach for a weapon in his back pocket, and they actually started shoving one another. And I'm like, what? Then all of a sudden, the supervisors, assistants, or people that work there started running out of the office. It started turning into a big hoopla, but that wasn't even the worst part of it. Because in that same instance that he was getting backup to come, the young man goes into his truck where he had a box where he kept one of those pew-pews. Yeah, one of those. He goes in the box. I didn't see it happen myself. But my lady was like, yeah, he went and got that, put it in his pants, and at that time, she was like, yeah, it's time for us to go. I couldn't go because our car was still at the parking area. We haven't retrieved it yet. So at this point, think about all the choices that came through. There was a couple of choices that were made. Then on top of that, after that, decisions were made how to move to a resolution. Let's be clear, they weren't the best decisions, because once you start engaging and bringing out weapons of any sort, someone's life is going to be in jeopardy. And to think about it too, so now you made a decision that possibly could have somebody's life in jeopardy The issue that you had hasn't been resolved. So now we're talking about injury, a possible unaliving, because the choice you made and decision that followed it was really fueled by the wrong thing. A lot of emotion was involved, not a lot of logic, because the fact of the matter is, getting into a bigger melee, causing bigger issues and bigger problems, does not get you to a point of resolution. So how smart was that choice and decision in that scenario? It wasn't. That's why it's so important to understand we all have choices to make. We all have decisions. We're making those decisions. We gotta think logically. Yeah, don't get me wrong. Yes, it's gonna be times you're gonna want to turn up. You want to do everything, but you're gonna want to do everything, but handle it peacefully and respectfully. You're gonna want to do that. That's it. It's a human thing. I get it. But don't let your emotions take over to the point where you're not making good decisions. Like I told you before, once you make a decision, the consequence is the consequence. There's no going back. You can't reverse time. You can't. So you gotta make good decisions. And you gotta remember one very important thing. Really important. And I think I heard it was Cameron, you know, the rapper, Harlem World. Yeah. He said it on that podcast, It Is What It Is. He said, no, it wasn't on a podcast, it was on an interview that he was on. He had said that you can't decide how somebody responds to the decision that you've made and how you're going to play with them. You don't decide how to get to play back. You don't get to decide that. You know how you want to go about it. Doesn't mean it's how they want to go about it. So the decisions you make are immensely important. Yeah, you're going to have choices you make that's going to be insignificant. But in that situation I just told you about, in that scenario, they could have been life-altering. I mean life-altering. Worst case scenario, and unaliving. Best case scenario, some people in prison. I don't know. I don't want none of those situations. None of those. So when you have a decision to make, you know its consequences. Try to think, use logic. I know emotions be running high. They get you going. Listen, emotions have got a lot of us in trouble. At times. And I'm no different. I'm no different. But you can't allow emotions to dictate how you move. Sometimes it's okay. Most of the time it's not. Logic, understanding consequences as they be, or will be, is the best way to go about that. Luckily, in this scenario, with this young man and this parking lot manager, even though those things came into play, the young man going to his vehicle, getting one of those pew-pews, right? The manager bringing backup coming. and him himself having something in his back pocket as well. Even though that happened, for what I could see, the emotions got high, but never got the best of them. They were able to pull back and stop themselves from going to another level, which actually was very impressive, because I've seen situations when it gets to that point, it's a done deal. It's a done deal. But these two men were able to like pull back all that emotion. And when both of them spoke to each other, understanding each other's position, understanding each other's place in the scenario, they started talking calmly again. Of course, the guy was still upset because his car was damaged, but they were talking calmly to each other. There was apologies that were given and offered, because at some point in that rage, the logic came back. They settled down in their emotions and started making good decisions again. And because of that, no one went to jail. No one was unalived. And they came to a resolution. In fact, supervisor and manager of the parking lot actually offered, gave the young man cash, based on the estimate they came to, or what it cost to have that fixed on the vehicle. He paid him cash, and I was right there when they gave him the cash. So, in that scenario, it's really easy to see how having those choices and making those decisions, and then the consequences of that could have went really, really badly. But in the same token, in the same breath, at some point in that rage, in that emotional upheaval, they made decisions that would get them, first of all, not in any trouble, no one unalived, no melee. It came to a viable solution for both parties, because that was done logically. That wasn't done with emotion. Now, yes, we all know that scenario could have went so many other different ways, but I'm glad that it didn't, and it also showed me that even though you may have started emotional with your movement, that logic can still kick in, take over, and get you to a point where everybody is satisfied with what's going on. So I'm so happy what transpired and didn't end the way that it did. Because after that happened, eventually we got to our car, and there was some damage on my car as well that wasn't there when we parked the car. And so at that point, I had some choices to make as well. And my choices was how was I going to deal with this situation? I saw what transpired right in front of me as I'm waiting to deal with my car situation. And I saw how badly it could have gone. And then I saw it take a turn and ended up the way, reasonable people would have thought or would have hoped for. And so when I got to my car situation, I was speaking to the same manager, in fact. And it's crazy is because he could have had a decision in his mind. He could have decided that, you know what? I'm gonna be angry and upset all day long. Listen, he and I had a wonderful conversation. I showed him the damage to my vehicle. He also came up with a settlement for me as well after we looked at the damage and kind of put the numbers together. Came with a settlement for myself as well. And so we got in our car and went about our business. Now, I could have jumped on, like, yeah, look what you guys did. I could have really escalated the situation more. I could have, decided to be visually, verbally demonstrative of my rage. But at the end of the day, I didn't really see a solution happening from that. I was logically enough to think and saw what took place right before my eyes. I said, no, we may not handle it that way. We can handle it this way, handle our business and get to a resolution. So, this thing with the choices is really big. I mean, it's humongous. We face, I would say, minimally, and this is just a number I'm throwing out, at least 1,000 choices a day. At least 1,000 choices a day. At least. It could be more than that. Who knows? And with those choices comes decisions that have to be made. We have to make decisions based on good information, logic, actual data, you know what I'm saying? And get to a solution or conclusion that makes sense especially for you and hopefully for other parties as well. So what I want to do too with this choice situation is, my last live, I was talking about not dealing with disrespect in situations, right? In that situation, you have a choice to make, right? Again, it all comes down to choices. It all comes down to choices. It really does. Are you going to deal with disrespect or you're not? If you are, how much? I say you don't deal with no disrespect at all. The choice is no disrespect at all. Decision is I'm gonna leave that alone, and the consequence is they're cut off. That's my process. But that's just mine. Everybody may not see it that same way, so you do have choices to make. How those choices are going to affect you and the rest of your life, your surroundings, your community, your village. You know what I'm saying? So that's all I really got to say about that. What I would like you to do is to join my community. Okay? TikTok is Good Vibes Daily 71. Join the community. Okay? Also, like I said, on YouTube, Good Vibes Daily 71. Come join the community. I also have Instagram, Good Vibes Daily 71. Come join the community. Because what I really want to do is have a community of people that's like-minded, may not share all the same opinions, but be an exchange of information for one another. I really believe in that. I really believe in that. And that's what community is. Community, that's what the village is. I want to be, everybody be positive. Have a positive mindset, right? A builder's mindset. Positivity. But do understand that being positive doesn't mean that being positive is not going to have an element of nasty, an element of disregard. Because for you to be positive in your space, you may have to disregard and be negative to other people who don't want to really deal with you. So that is negative to them, but it's very positive to you and I. Like, it's okay. It really is. So I really just want to build up a community. And I want to hear from you guys, right? Message me. Hit me up. You want to comment on one of my videos? Listen, please do so, okay? Now, another thing I want you to know about, too, is I'm wearing this shirt right here, right? It says, me versus me, me versus me, me versus me, I win. Okay? Now, the theory behind this is, every day you wake up, you have a choice. And I choose to be a better me today than the me I was yesterday. So me versus me, I win. I'm not competing with anybody else. I'm competing with who I was and what I was the day before. So me versus me is my ideology. Okay? Also, you can pick up this shirt at our store at GVDL71, which is Good Vibes Daily Live 71, and pick up a shirt. They come in multiple colors, men's and women's. We got it all. But, you know, and again, on GVDL71.com, you're going to find a lot of positive, uplifting things about how to preserve and deal with your life, deal with your peace, and people around you. So that's all you want to do. Spread love, spread positivity, and, you know, protect your peace at all times. You know what I'm saying? Protect your peace at all time. And it's your peace to protect. It's nobody else's responsibility to give you peace or protect your peace. That's your responsibility. Like it's my responsibility to maintain and get my peace. I can't expect nobody else to get that from me or give it to me. It's mine to get. It's mine to keep. Okay? So do me a favor, before you go, or when you see later on, listen, leave comments. I always go back in, I answer the comments and you know, engage with everybody. So please do that. And I'll be doing another live in a few days, I'm sure. I try to do the lives when something hits me or I'm moved by something that's going on around me, or I do a video that has moved me in a way that I want to do a little more talking about it, a little more clarity, give a little more context. So I will definitely be on again very shortly. But in the meantime and in between time, you guys be safe, spread love, and have an awesome rest of your day. All right? This is George from Good Vibe Daily 71, bidding you farewell. Peace.